Hi y'all. Hi everybody. It's Kimberly here. I'm gonna tell a double story time today. Two stories in one. Um this is kind of they're both they're totally different incidents, but they're kind of about the same subject, if you kind of know what I mean. Not related incidents, but they kind of are about the same subject. And one time when I worked at this place, there was a lady there. There's these two ladies, and they're kind of starting to be friends. And one lady had worked there for several years, and this other lady she'd probably been there maybe 4 or 5 months, I guess. Not too long. And they were kind of getting to be really good friends, and they would talk, and they would work together. They would eat their lunch and take breaks together, and then I think they went to go play bingo or do some other things together. And, outside of work, they got to be pretty good friends. And the one lady that was married, the lady had been there for a while, and these two ladies, they were probably about 10 years older than me. They were in their 30s. I was in my 20s, and they had, or the one lady that was married, she invited the other lady to go with her out of town. I think they went to, I want to say Fort Worth or Dallas. They went to they were going to be gone for 2 days. I think they went for some kind of event or I don't know what for. It was some kind of something that the other lady wanted her to tag along with. It was her husband and her, and it was going to be the other lady, 3 people there. And they're going to spend the weekend there. And I remember hearing this conversation, and she was telling her, don't worry, I'll pay for everything. Her husband had a really good job, and she was offering to pay for everything. And don't worry, it's not going to cost anything. I just want you to come with me. We'll have fun. And she was talking about doing some activities together or something else, just so she wouldn't have to be just with her husband. They would have some things in common that they like to do or something like that. And so the two ladies, they were going to go on the weekend. I think we were working nights, and we got off, I think it was a 3-day weekend. So they're going to be gone for 2 nights, and they would come back, and we'd have to go to work the next, whatever that night was. And they left, and they came back from the trip, and then she started telling everybody what happened on the trip. And because I noticed that those two, they weren't talking or anything, and they didn't speak to each other the whole day, or probably about halfway through, she started telling people what had happened. And she said that when they drove up there and everything was fine, and when they got to the hotel, they were checking in, and the husband goes, yeah, we just want one room. And he kind of looked to the side like that lady just looked at him like that. And he goes, with 2 beds. We need 2, double beds. And the other lady just kind of spoke up. She was like, no, I think I want my own room. I don't feel comfortable. No, I want my own room. And the guy was like, oh, no, we can all stay in the same room like that. And she was like, no, I'm going to pay for my own room. And he made a comment like, well, you don't need to spend your money on, real kind of authoritative, sort of, she said, in a voice trying to, he wanted her to stay in that same room with them. And she was like, absolutely not. She got her own room. And then she told everybody that the whole weekend after that, or the whole weekend, throughout the weekend, wherever they went, that the couple ignored her, just kind of she was just there, and they weren't conversing with her or having anything really to do with her. She was just there. And she said it was really uncomfortable. And then they were driving back, and she said that they stopped at the husband didn't speak to her the whole time throughout the trip, and the other lady didn't really speak to her very much. And then on the way back, they were about an hour from town, and they stopped at this rest stop. And I remember the rest stop that she explained it to me, and I think I had kind of remembered it because I had gone there down that road. I was like, I think I remember that. And I was like, it's kind of dark around there. And she was like, yeah. And he got out of the car, and he looked around. He was looking around at everything. And then he walked over to the highway, and he looked down the highway like he was looking for cars to see if anybody was around, and he came back and he stood in front of the car, and he just looked at his wife that was sitting in the passenger seat, and they just stared at each other, and the wife jumped out of the car and ran over to him. They were talking, and she was sitting like in the back seat, and she was watching the whole thing, and she got scared all of a sudden, and he was like looking around, like, looking. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's dark, and it's just an old nasty rest stop out on the highway, and she said a DPS trooper just happened to pull up in the parking lot when they're parked there, and she jumped out and she told the DPS, she goes, something weird's happening, and she told him kind of the weird situation with the bedroom or the hotel room, and she said, I'm scared, I'm not going to get back in the car, either take me somewhere or let me call somebody, I need help, this is creepy. They're standing over there talking about me, or some weird situation's going on. They haven't talked to me for the whole trip, and now this is happening. And so he went over there and talked to them. Then he came back over to the lady and goes, yeah, I'll take you back to, there was like another, there's like a little town like about 20 miles away or something like that, and he was going to drop her off at the police station there, and he said that he couldn't take her all the way back into town. It was like an hour out of, the way. He was right at the, I don't know, the area where he patrols at or whatever. And he said he could take her over to the police station, and that they could call, and maybe if somebody could come pick her up. So she called, I think, a brother or sister or something. She didn't have a husband. She wasn't married or anything. And so she had to wait there for like an hour for them to show up and take her and bring her back. And when she came back, she was telling everybody this. And that lady walked up to her at the end of the day and was like, I don't appreciate you telling all these lies and all this stuff and trying to make us out to be weirdos. And I was standing right there at the other machine. And I turned around and I was watching, and I was like, well, did y'all try to get her to sleep in the same room with you? And she's like, that's none of your business. And I was like, maybe not, but, she didn't want to do it. And, well, we were just concerned for her spending money. I was like, so you did try to make her sleep in the same room with you and your husband? That's creepy and weird. I said, that's probably why she's telling everybody, Why would you do that? And how's it your business, to tell her where to spend her money, And she's like, shut up, Kim. Being real rude to me. I was like, whatever, you weirdo. And then the next morning, it kind of got around to, I don't think we had a human resources director. This is a long time ago, and some places didn't have one quite back then. Maybe, I can't remember. It was like a plant, I don't want to say plant manager, but I don't know what he was, some big guy in the plant, but called us all into an office, and I hear y'all are arguing about something, and he wanted to know all the details, and they told him not. And I was like, I really didn't have anything to do with it. I just happened to be there when she walked up and told her, to stop telling everybody. And I told him the exchange that I had with her, and that, yeah, I did say it was weird and creepy, and, it's bizarre, and, maybe she shouldn't have done it. If you don't want things like that to happen to you, don't do weird stuff, People are going to call you out on it. And it just, they never spoke to each other. They weren't friends or anything like that. It was just a weird situation. And at the same place, I was friends with the guy. This is a totally different story now. It's kind of the same subject, though. But I was friends with this guy. We'd only known each other for about maybe 5 or 6 months. But we used to laugh a lot, and we'd work at some of the same machines. And I have kind of a dry sense of humor. And we'd have fun, laugh, and goof off, and, we'd help each other, work with each other on the machines and everything like that. And we were kind of okay friends. And a couple of times we went out, and after we worked nights, but we would sometimes stop at this little place and we'd get a breakfast burrito and we'd talk, and then we'd go our separate way. And nothing, he didn't ever try to make a pass at me or, anything like that. We were just friends, and he was very respectful, and his cousin worked there too, and sometimes he would come with us, and I was more friends with the guy, but his cousin would come, and, we'd all three kind of laugh and talk and have fun. And then the guy told me one day, we're talking about something, he goes, you hunt, don't you? I was like, well, I haven't been since I was a kid, and I've only been hunting like, I think maybe 2 or 3 times. I was very young, and I've never shot, I've shot at something, but I didn't hit the target. I missed. And I've been fishing a lot. I've caught all kinds of fish. And he was asking me, don't you hunt and fish? And I was like, no, not really, not anymore. And, it's been a long time. And he goes, well, my they have a rattlesnake roundup every year here in Texas. And he's saying, my dad, we're going to go to that, and yeah, you need to come with us. You need to come with us. We're going to hunt for rattlesnakes. I was like, no, I've eaten it before, and I don't really, it's too stringy. I don't like it. He was like, oh, it's so good. And I was like, I just don't care for it anymore. I ate stuff like that a long time ago, and I just, I kind of lost my taste for it now. I don't really care for it. And he kept every day just, oh yeah, you're going to come with us, and kept on. This, for about a good week, he kept saying that. I was like, no, I can't. And then probably a few days before that, he was telling me, oh, and my dad and my uncles, they got a lease on a hunting lease on this piece of property. It's about, I don't know, like 30 miles, I don't remember. It was, quite a ways away from the roundup, the rattlesnake roundup. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna sleep out, and we're gonna hunt the night before, and then we're gonna go to the rattlesnake roundup. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going with you. And he kept insisting, and then I was like, no, I can't. I got a little dog, and I can't leave her alone. And I just kept telling him, no, I ain't going with you. I ain't going. And even the other employees would hear these conversations. This went on for almost 2 weeks, and it's like, no, I ain't going with you every single time. And he's like, oh, you can sleep in the back of the truck. Or they had like a camper on the back of the truck, and he's like, you're short and little, you can sleep in the back seat. You can stretch out in the back seat, and we're going to sleep in the camper. And they had the flip top, or flip console. It would fold up, and he goes, and I'll sleep in the front cab, and you can sleep in the back. It's like, no, I'm not. It was going to be his cousin, I think, like another cousin or brother, his dad, and like an uncle, I think, his dad's brother, or 2 or 3 uncles or brothers, or like 5 or 6 guys. And I'm not going out in the woods with guys that I don't even know, and one that I barely know, who like to drink and shoot off guns. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be the only woman out there, or young woman out there, with all these guys. No, that's not going to happen. And his dad, I had gone to a baseball game one time. He got me to play in a game. They were short like one player in this league that he was playing with. And I was like, no, I haven't played baseball in a long time. I don't play hardball. I said, I've played softball, but not on a league or anything like that, just with friends and stuff like that, He goes, oh, yeah, we just need one more player, and 1 or 2 more players or something like that. And then he kind of roped me into it. So I did go, and it was fun. We had fun. And his dad, that's the first time I met his dad. His dad was like the third base coach or something like that. And his dad, immediately when he introduced me, he just grabbed me around the waist and hugged me real tight, put his arm around me, just punched into my stomach. And I was real small then. He just hugged me real tight into him like that, and I was all squished right up into his shoulder, And he had been drinking. I could smell the alcohol, and I didn't drink at that time. After I was my 21st birthday, I really didn't drink very much at all, just maybe a beer or 2, hardly. And I don't drink at all now, but I could smell the liquor on him, so he was pretty much drunk, I think. And I don't like guys grabbing me and touching me like that, just pulling me in like that. I did not like that at all. I kind of squirmed my way out of it. And I think his dad, he kept, he was all smile. He was drunk, and he's smiling the whole time, and I just didn't like it. And so I tried to avoid his dad, and that was the only time I met him, other than he came to work the night before, and he told me, oh, my dad bought you a hunting jacket. Because I told him, I don't even have a hunting jacket. I think I sold it like in a garage sale. I don't even have any hunting gear or nothing, It's like, I don't hunt anymore. And I barely hunted, And told me that his dad bought me a hunting jacket. And he goes, he already bought you a hunting jacket. I was like, what? why would he buy me that? And he goes, well, I told him that you were coming with us. I was like, I told you like 50 times I'm not going. I ain't going. And I argue with him, and then he wanted my address. I was like, I ain't going. What more, how much more do I have to explain to you? And his cousin kind of started getting kind of embarrassed about it. He didn't kind of walked away. He kind of left us alone to argue. And I was like, I ain't going. And the night, or that day, he wanted my address. I was like, don't show up to my house. I'm not going to go with you. If you do, I'm going to call the cops. Because I don't like guys coming to my house that I don't know or anything like that. And I've had problems with guys showing up at my house, when I was much younger. Didn't happen anymore, but when I was much younger. And he was kind of mad, kind of a little bit upset. And he came back and he goes, my dad told me, like, the first thing he told me was, my dad wants you to pay him for that hunting jacket. I was like, I'm not paying him anything. I didn't ask him to buy that. And I told you like 400 times, I'm not going with you. And then his dad came into the parking lot that morning when we got off, and he was parked there, and I don't know, I came to get the money, I think, and he hollered over to me, hey girl, like that, and I just ignored him, got in my car, and then he jumped out of his truck and he ran over to my car, and he goes, for me to roll the window down, motion, I was like, yes, and he goes, well, you need to pay me for that jacket. I spent like, I don't know, like $25 or $35, just a long time ago. They weren't that expensive. And I was like, I'm not buying a hunting jacket from you that I did not ask you to buy for me. And I told your son I wasn't going. He goes, well, you told me you said you were going. He said that you were going. I was like, no, I didn't. I told him the very first night that he asked me, like 2 weeks before, that I was not going. And I told him, I don't go out in the middle of the woods with 5 or 6 guys I don't know. And he seemed kind of offended, but I was like, what is wrong with you? I'm not gonna, I don't even know y'all. Why would I go out there? And I don't drink. I told him I don't drink. I had kind of like tapered off drinking. I really didn't drink hardly at all. And because I was legal since the drinking age since I was 19. So at 21, I'd already, I'd been young and drank, and I was like, after 21, I was tired of it. I don't drink anymore, And I really didn't want to be out in the middle of the woods with a bunch of guys. Or not the woods. We don't really have the woods here. We have like mesquite and brushland. But I was like, I'm not going to go out there with a bunch of guys drinking and shooting off guns, guys I don't even know. And they're getting all hyped up to go to a rattlesnake hunt. And no, I'm not doing that. And he just seemed kind of a little bit upset with his son. Because I think his son really think that he told him that I was going. I was like, no, I made it very clear to him I'm not going. And I was real small and little. And I have... my voice wasn't as deep then. I had a higher pitched voice then. But I think he knew that I was telling the truth. And he was a little upset with his son, I think. But I never paid him for the jacket. And it was a nice jacket. And I would have liked to have had it if I was a hunter, but I don't hunt anymore. And this kind of reminds me of another story. I'm going to tell one more. I know this is kind of long, but another time I worked at another place. And this guy, we were kind of friends, and I used to get along with the guys at work a lot, and we would talk a lot more with the guys than I did with most of the women. And his dad owned, either his dad or his uncle owned a little cabin area out in East Texas, and he was telling me, the same thing, like, hey, you want to come up to, I don't remember what town it was, or city, it was way, way east. It kind of in the swampy, marshy land where, I don't know, I couldn't even remember, and I was like, no, I don't like that. And it was close to a lake, and his dad worked in the back, and he came and told him, he was trying to get his dad, he wanted, I think he kind of liked me, so he wanted me to go with him, and we didn't even go outside work together. We just only talked at work, and I was like, I'm not going off with some guy I don't hardly know over to East Texas in the swampland, no. And he kind of told his dad, I think, something. His dad tried to talk me into it. Goes, oh, and they got a lake out there. And gosh, I'm sorry. I don't have my holder. I'm holding it up with my hand and it slipped. I'm sorry. And he told his dad and he tried to talk me into it, and I was telling him, got it. I'm sweating in here. I'm starting to sweat. Eh. And I was like, I'm not going, no way. And he goes, there's a lake out there, and we'll go water skiing, and there's alligators. Or I told him no, because there's alligators out there. I don't like alligators, and because the biggest fears, I don't like them. But this is a long time ago. Even I would tell people I don't like alligators, and he goes, oh, they're just on the banks. They won't get that far out in the lake. I'm really fast. I can pick you up in the water. I was like, I'm not gonna be. He was wanting me to water ski, or telling me that we would water ski in the lake. I was like, I do not water ski in lakes with alligators. And that guy got a little, I think, hurt that I wouldn't go with him. And I was like, I told all the other ladies there, I was like, he wants me to go off with him to some swampland out in some cabin way out in the middle of swampland, into a cabin with him and his dad and like an uncle or somebody I've never met, to go swimming in lakes with alligators. And they laughed, and I was like, he was a nice guy, but I was like, I'm not going to do that. Sometimes guys ask us to do the dumbest things, like, and sometimes I know that we do the dumbest things because we may like that person, but I don't go out into the woods. I don't go out in other places with guys I don't know, out in the middle of nowhere, in the swamps, or way out hunting out in the middle of the woods, or semi-flat woods, the ones that we have here. Oh well,